going on? Oh, here we are. Okay. And we are live. Ilya, get off your phone.
All right.
Messing around.
Are we on?
Yes. Welcome back, everybody.
Which one? Which one?
That one.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Hopefully you find our videos entertaining and
informative.
Yes. And don't forget, every Monday, 8:30 p.m.
Every Monday, 8:30, unless we say otherwise, like, or if it's Pesach.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. We're Orthodox Jews.
Right. If we get 10 likes by the end of the video, he's doing a somersault.
Actually, the thumbnail for this video is all about why we say L'chaim.
Okay, that's a good one.
So we got to crack open some water bottles and say L'chaim.
Okay. Why water bottles? We got beers.
I don't know what the regulations are online with drinking.
Oh yeah, I don't think you're allowed.
Yeah,
you're right.
All right, guys. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to talk about the Parsha in a nutshell, and then we're gonna go talk about some juicy stuff. There's actually a lot of stuff. I don't even know if we're gonna be able to get through all of it, but
check out last year's video. On this week's Parsha.
The funny thing is, last year's video was on Pesach for Shmini. So I did like a 5-minute thing from my porch in Cozumel. So it's not really that. It was kind of like more like me talking to the camera. It wasn't official.
So we messed up. Show. We didn't do it last year.
We did. Well, it was Pesach and it was in Cozumel, and I just took 5 minutes, on the camera. On Chol HaMoed, guys, calm down.
Everybody in the chat, blame Yosef for
it. Sure. Listen, it was my decision. Sure. Actually, we're going to talk about later on about taking responsibility and actually how it's actually a good thing to be able to say, I'm taking this upon myself, even if it's uncomfortable or even makes you look bad. We're going to talk about that. Just, saying. Anyway, let's get into it. So, the Parsha in a nutshell is like this. The name of the Parsha is Shmini. And Shmini means the 8th, because on the 8th day after Moshe Rabbeinu did all the avoda, it was when Aaron and his sons were inaugurated as the Kohen Gadol.
So only the first 7 days, Moshe Rabbeinu did all the whole ritual by himself, everything by himself, basically as an example to Aaron and the Kohanim on what's to happen in the future. Yeah.
So, and once they bring the karbanos, then the Shechina comes into the Mishkan, and then we have the story of Aaron's 2 sons.
It says well, Moshe Rabbeinu was a pretty tall guy. He was the tallest in the camp.
I mean, yeah.
But how come it never mentions him lighting the menorah? It only mentions Aaron lighting the menorah, and though he was tall, he still stepped on those steps and lit them, so the future Kohanim would also climb the steps and would never, no matter how tall they are, they would never, light them above their head, basically.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because actually I remember learning, I think we covered it here in one of the weeks, where Moshe Rabbeinu was really tall and Aaron was really short and stout. So Aaron,
in comparison to Moshe Rabbeinu, but Aaron was pretty tall.
Well, no, it actually says they were like the same weight. So imagine.
So he was a little shorter.
Yeah, it's something from a Haggadah.
Okay.
That there was like an illustration on the Haggadah. Anyway, it's in a different week. I don't remember which week it was that we discussed it. But apparently Moshe didn't need to use the steps. But you're saying that
Aaron also doesn't need to use the steps, but he always did. As a what's his name? As
symbolic.
Right, it was symbolic that you need to take those steps. You need to use those steps when you're lighting the candles, regardless of how tall you are.
Okay, that's cool.
My question was, how come it mentions Aaron? It doesn't mention Moshe Rabbeinu. You understand what I mean? It mentions Aaron. It says Aaron always took the steps, though he didn't really need to because he was very tall.
But it doesn't mention Moshe Rabbeinu.
Right. I'm guessing it's because it's not Moshe Rabbeinu's avodah to do. It's the Kohanim's.
It doesn't mention anywhere that
No.
Moshe. Okay. I don't know. But So then we had the story of the tragic story of Nadav and Avihu. They get drunk. According to one opinion, it's because they got drunk and they went into the Kodesh HaKodashim to bring the Ketores, and they passed away. A fire came and killed them. Then Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron disagreed on how one of the carbons was supposed to be treated, and then Moshe eventually realized that Aaron was correct. Then Hashem talks about all the kosher laws. So, which animals you're allowed to eat, which ones you're not allowed to eat.
And then the restricted animals, though they have one sign, but they don't have another.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that soon. And then it talks about, so split hooves and chew their cut. For fish, it's fins and scales. And then there's, it says all the birds that are non-kosher. And then it talks about the kosher insects, which the only kosher insects are?
Grasshopper.
Correct.
But I heard that there's like 6 different species of grasshoppers.
So there are 4 types of locusts that are kosher.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 4 species that are kosher. And I don't know if this is true, but I think there are people till today who know the signs. And
the Yemenites, apparently you eat them.
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I don't know if anyone still actually does it. It would be pretty interesting to see.
Why not?
I'm saying I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they say that in some of the poorer countries, they still do.
Yeah?
Or because they were poor, it was left as a tradition.
Oh, you're saying it's like sometimes it was the only thing they could eat?
Right.
Okay, interesting.
And they apparently taste like potatoes, like fried potatoes.
Like,
apparently. I never tried them. I wanted to when I went to Birthright, when I was like 18, and I wanted to try them badly, and I had the opportunity to do so. But then when I saw it, I was like, hell no, it's so disgusting. And so I never tried it. And now I could never try them, now because I know that my ancestors never ate them for more than 3 generations, so I can't even try them.
That's funny. Yeah, it's like French fries, grass fries,
Yeah, right? Actually, one of the reasons why we don't eat giraffe, though it's a purely kosher animal, is because for more than 3 generations our ancestors didn't eat them, so therefore we're technically not allowed to.
Yeah, some people say that it's because we don't know where to shecht it. That's not true. It's not true at all.
Right,
we know exactly where, but also I don't think it's very tasty meat.
How would you know if you never tried it? Plus, they are extinct or something like that.
Oh, they're endangered or something?
Right.
It could be an endangered animal. I don't know. Anyway, interesting. Yeah. Then we talk about some of the stuff that has to do with ritual purity, right? Going to a mikvah, and that way the Yidden can differentiate between what's pure and impure. That's the Parsha in a nutshell. Let's get into the juice. All right. What you got for us?
You obviously don't need any caffeine, bro. Go for it.
Okay, so number 1, last week we were talking about where the ashes were taken, right? For anyone
We still haven't found the answer to it.
Well, we partially found an answer. I think that what Makom Tahar, or pure place, means, like we just spoke about now, at the end of the Parsha, right? There's impure and pure. So a place where it's a cemetery, you can't put it there. Someone's buried there. Let's say it's a place where there's a avodah zarah.
Were cemeteries outside of a city?
In general, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
But in the times of this Hamikdash, there was a place called Beis Hadeshin, where it was like a designated spot where they would actually put it.
Right. But the time of the Mishkan, where we were traveling all times, we didn't have a designated spot.
Well, I mean, they could have had one, in certain places they stayed there for years, so it's possible.
For 19 years was the longest one.
Okay, so there you go. But I don't know. I guess as long as it was pure. If somebody can enlighten us, great.
I thought logically a pure place would be a body of water. That would make more sense. A pure place is a body of water. But then apparently it didn't have to be a body of water. It had to be somewhere in the woods.
Well, it also might be problematic to have a body of water, because then it could just go anywhere.
Why is that relevant?
Well,
You've done your part. You disposed of it in a pure place, and what happens next is nature. It's not in your hands.
yeah, I guess that's a good point. Okay. Interesting, ting, ting, ting. So I really am hyper today. Sheesh.
Did it come out of my mouth?
Okay. So that's that. Now we're going to talk about the name of the parsha. So the name of the parsha is Shmini. We said why? Because it's the 8th day, the inauguration. Just some stuff, and we mentioned this in earlier shows where, talking about the names and how sometimes you find that in different times of history or in different svarim, the names of the parsha are slightly different.
Okay.
So, for example, in I believe it's in the Siddur of Rav Sadia Gaon, he actually calls it Vayihi Bayom Hashmini. Parshas Vayihi Bayom Hashmini. He doesn't call it by one name.
Okay.
Called Bayom Hashmini. Right now, also what's interesting is that many times the word of the name of the parsha is the name minus the hey. So you'll have, Eile HaMishpatim. The parsha is not called Parshas HaMishpatim. It's called Parshas Mishpatim. Mm-hmm. And the same thing here. It's not Parshas HaShmini. It's Parshas Shmini. And something that is brought down, and let me find it. Oh, Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen, he had his sefer Rishisi Lala, he says that just like a person, his name is his life force, right? The name says a lot about the person, and it's really its essence and its life. So the same thing also, the name of the parsha has everything to do with what the parsha is. So it's not just the name; it actually is bound up in all the content of the parsha. Just something interesting about that. And as far as who gave the names to the parshas, so Reb Chaim Kanievsky, he had in the sefer of Responsa, where he answers people's questions, people ask where they came from. So you find some parshas in the Gemara. Parshas in the Gemara mentions Parshas Kedoshim, but in general it seems that it only came in the time of the Geonim, that they were only named in the time of the Geonim, except for the few exceptions that were named earlier, or we know that were named earlier.
So the time of Tanaim, it wasn't around yet?
I don't know if it wasn't around at all, but maybe it wasn't the given names. Maybe it was maybe they called it something else.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't, they didn't have specific names for every parsha. I don't know. I would imagine they had to call it something, to divide it.
Okay.
But maybe, for example, they divided it based on its contents and not based on one of the first words of the parsha. I don't know. Now here's something very interesting. So it says that Michael, that Aaron HaKohen, when the day that he became the Kohen Gadol, Michael, the angel, also became the minister, like the great minister in heaven, to defend the Jewish people. It was in the merit of Aaron HaKohen, the Kohen Gadol, which is very interesting. And you actually see it. It says, Ki hayoim Hashem nira aleichem. Today Hashem will show himself to you. Nir'eh is Nun Resh Aleph Hey, and that's the same letters as Aaron.
Hold on. I was under the impression that every single nation out there has an angel that is governing them.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
And we don't have an angel because we have Hashem.
So we don't have a Sar that's our life force. But that doesn't mean, but it's more that he became our advocate.
So all the other nations have an angel that gives them life force?
It's
I thought Hashem is the only one that gives life.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean that they give them life. It means that there's an extra divider, meaning they don't necessarily get the life force directly from Hashem like the Yidden do.
So they have an intermediary. It's
not an intermediary. Okay, I'll give you an example. Like Mazal, right? The idea of Mazal. There's an idea that Jews are higher than Mazal. Why? Because we can access something higher.
Right. We can. Doesn't mean we do.
Right. It doesn't mean that we do.
Right.
We have the ability.
Right. Okay.
So that's, that's something exclusive to the Jewish people.
Okay.
So the rest are kind of under that.
What does that got to do with the angels?
So the ministers are the ones who are in charge of giving that, whatever that means. Again, I'm not an expert on esoteric teachings of Kabbalah. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, but not God forbid that there's anybody else who has power other than God. That's a mistake that a lot of idol worshippers had, where they thought, let's pray directly to the sun, directly to the moon, because they.
Right. That's not what puzzles me. What puzzles me is the fact that if angels are nothing but messengers of Hashem, and they're nothing but butlers, or his servants, they don't have a mind of their own, meaning they don't have a will of their own.
Yeah.
If that's what they are, then how can they distribute anything, any sort of essence, any sort of power, any sort of mazel, any sort of anything to any other nations? You understand where I'm coming from? Because these traits that we're talking about, they kind of contradict themselves. Because if you're talking about them having the power to do something or to gift someone something, then they're not really just messengers. You understand what I mean?
That sounds more pagan, Right,
that's what I'm saying.
No, it's not the same thing. You could ask the question about any angel, right?
Right.
Somehow these people are messengers of God, whatever that means. At the end of the day, they can't do anything without Hashem's permission. But again, it's like asking it's really asking a question on the entire structure of angels. So I can't answer that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different sects of angels as well.
There's a lot of different kinds of angels. Yeah. Chayos and Seraphim. Okay.
Seraphim were the highest. The angels with the baby faces.
Those are the Kruvim, I believe.
Oh yeah, that is true. Cherubim. Yeah.
As a kid, I always wrote those the cherubs.
Cherubs, right?
The cherubs.
Cherubs.
So Nir the pasuk that we mentioned earlier, right? That Hashem is showing Himself to you. Nir Aleichem means will show Himself to you. Nir is the same letters as Aaron, and Aleichem is the same letters as Michael. So it's actually hinted in the pasuk.
Okay.
Both Aaron and Michael were given a post that day. Now, even though Michael already was, it was an important angel beforehand, but I guess he had an extra connection with the Jewish people on this day. It also says that, Kashem and Hatev Hayerd al Zakan Zikan Aaron, like the good oil that's on the head that spills on the beard of Aaron. Why did it say beard twice? So that also is coming to hint that two beings were anointed that day, Michael and Aaron.
So the fact that Aaron became what's his name, Kohen Gadol, that solidified the place for Michael to become the angel for the Jews. That's what happened that day. Yeah. Doesn't that remind you of the story of Yaakov Avinu with the stones around him? It says that when all the stones became one, that is when Hashem decided that this world has now pillars to stand on. Before that, there were no pillars to stand on. So this was confirmation that this world has pillars to stand on. And the pillar to stand on was Israel, was Yaakov Avinu.
Another.
What everybody does to me.
Come.
Oh my God.
Come. Say hi.
Oh my God. Everybody come in the recording.
Guest appearances.
This is number 2, and this is number 1.
How are you?
Look what they're learning. It's good to see you.
Monday to Thursday in Queens.
See that?
Two Gardens.
Look.
There, Shimshon?
Oh wow, you have a
I'm
group?
not joking, yeah.
Very nice. Oh,
Put me on the
Not
group.
that I'm reading, but not this.
Not that I'm reading.
They send you
Which is a big tzaddik. If you're interested in joining Wednesday night, 10 p.m. It's a little
Guys, I want to give a shout out for
what?
Torah on Demand.
Wednesday night, 10 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
Can you-
So
yes,
excited.
send
Oh, this is live.
Should I send you?
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin, move 1 second. You're on the camera. Move, move.
sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is Rabbi Gian over there. Gian,
Exciting.
698.
he gives a shiur every Wednesday night on
698?
Shara B'Tachai.
337.
Kuntres Umayim. Unless it's Yom Tov
It's
or whatever.
He's in charge of everything.
We work together.
But the real deal is...
Yossi, right there.
Man, oh, you're the real deal. This is the real deal. Chasdei Hashem. Keep it up.
Well,
Keep it
Hashem,
up.
thank
Amazing,
you, thank you.
amazing, amazing.
You're more than welcome to join.
Yeah, Bezrat Hashem. Bezrat Hashem.
Guys, check it out. Torah on demand.
Hey,
Torah on
send me the
demand.
link for this. Amazing.
Okay. That's so great.
Oh my God. Good people.
You know him? You know him? Amazing guy.
Thanks
Okay.
too, yeah.
He's my boss, basically.
Oh, really?
I'm saying we work together. We put out videos together on his channel. Yeah. So
What was it called again?
Torah on demand.
That's what you were occupied with all this time?
Part of the time. Calm down, Ilya. Calm down.
Blame everybody in the chat.
Oh, we have some comments. 1 second.
Comments at the end, come on. Unless it's time sensitive.
Oh, so just one thing I want to show. Kigar, this is what you were saying. Kigarzen biyad ha'chaytzev. So this is Mendy, my bro. He wrote that the idea of anybody, any angel or messenger, it's like an axe in the hand of the woodcutter. Meaning they're just tools. Like you said, there's no choice of their own. So yeah, that would answer the question. Okay, so also another thing you said about Makim Tahar. Part of Makim Tahar was that it won't be easily moved or blown away, so a body of water may be a problem. So part of it being in a pure place meant that it would be contained. So that's also an answer. Here we go. We get my brother comes on and he has the answer.
He says a body of water will be problematic.
Yes, because part of that the commandment of having a pure place is that it should be contained and not be blown away. So,
But water is not blown away. It's
no, but it could get anywhere. It could get anywhere. It was also to an impure place. It could be washed up on shore or whatever. Who knows? It's not contained. So I believe that's what he's saying. Oriya Dayan. Hey, Oriya, what's up? All right, stick around. It's a popular night, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now more about Michael. The Sefer Tziyoni says that he actually became bound with the Jews, Michal, when already by the time of Sarah, when he told Sarah she's going to have a kid. So, there's differing opinions. However, what's interesting is actually that it says something else about Michael, and maybe this can answer this question, because it says about Michael that he is a Kohen Gadol in Shemayim. So there's Beis HaMikdash down here, and there's Beis HaMikdash in heaven. So he's bringing karbanos in heaven, and Aaron HaKohen is bringing it down. So it could be it's saying that when Aaron HaKohen was given the avoda of the karbanos down here,
He was given.
perhaps maybe that's, again, it doesn't say that anywhere, but maybe that's what it means, that he became a Sar Gadol, Hasar HaGadol, the great minister. Maybe that's what it means. Because there's a pasuk in Divrei Hayamin that talks about talks about a mizbeach being built and a karbanis, and it says in the Gemara that that's talking about Michal bringing karbanis in Shemayim. But the Rama Mipano writes that Ilya and I brings karbanis even though the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. Now that's very, very interesting, because we know.
There's no more korbanot doing.
We think once Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, there's no more karbanos. And again, you see a contradiction. Who's bringing the karbanos? Is it Michael or is it Eliyahu Hanavi? So a possible answer is that Eliyahu Hanavi, once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Michael doesn't bring it anymore. And there's actually a whole medrash that says that Hashem told Michael to stop bringing karbanos with spiritual animals, whatever that means. And then Hashem said, Michael said, but what are we going to do? because what's going to be with your children, and the merit of the karbanos is how the world stands, and the existence of the Jewish people. And he said something else, either the souls of the tzaddikim, whatever that means, which are in heaven, whatever it means. That's that's that medrash. But the point is that you can say that after the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, Eliyahu Hanavi still continues to do it.
But also don't keep in mind that even when the Beit HaMikdash did stand, the Kohen Gadol didn't do all the avodas there anyways. There were other Kohens that were doing it. The Kohen Gadol was supervising each and every one of them, and every time somebody would bring a korbanot to check the animal, the Kohen Gadol will come and see if the person who's bringing the animal is doing it with pure intentions or not, because he would see that. And also he would have between the chest plate,
the Urim B'Tumim,
right, to ask questions. I don't think that was done by then. I think somebody else did it. But the point is, the Kohen Gadol supervised every single avodah that was done in the Beit HaMikdash.
Okay.
And only on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol would actually go into Kodesh Kodeshim and do the whole avodah himself.
Right, he had to. Yeah.
Right, that was only him. But all the other ones and everything that was done every single day were done by other Kohanim. And he just supervised them. So therefore, it doesn't necessarily have to be one angel doing all these things, is what I'm saying. Different korbanot could have been done by different angels.
You reminded me. Yeah, good catch. You reminded me because also it says that Eliyahu Hanavi brings the karban tamid.
Right.
So perhaps Michal brings the other ones. But it seems from the midrash that Michal stopped bringing
when the destruction of the
Mikdash. It's a lot of discussion that happened in the sefer that I'm reading. Okay. But I just thought it was amazing that this idea that there's still a whole hidden avodah that still goes on. There's actually an opinion that says, and it's a very radical and a very out there idea, but that Beis HaMikdash actually was never destroyed, and that when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, it says the Kohanim threw up the keys and the heavens took them, and that really everything was hidden, and people it says like shadim, like that's translated as demons. They went in order to make the Titus think that he destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. So there were other stones that were brought, and really everything's hidden underground. Again, it's a pretty crazy thing. I don't think I've read it anywhere else other than in the Sefer. He brings it. I forgot where he brings it down from, but it's pretty incredible. That really everything's there.
It's all right, guys. Don't get too anxious. Soon everything will be revealed. Mashiach is coming.
Amen. Wow. Thank you for saying that. And there's actually a story of the Yismach Moshe. He heard about this thing. Eliyahu Hanavi brings the karbanos, and he wanted to see it, and he prayed for it. And he was actually shown. He saw Eliyahu Hanavi bringing the karban tamid. So it's a pretty radical stuff. Now the next part of the parsha.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So now when it was the turn for Aaron HaKohen to go and bring the karban, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu said, go to the Mizbeach, come close to the Mizbeach. And Rashi explains he was embarrassed to go.
Why?
So the question is why? So the answer is basically...
Okay.
You're like, I know.
Yeah.
So the Satan, it says that the Satan showed him, made it look to him like there's a calf on the Mizbeach. And that was like kind of to get him to be fearful that he doesn't have this chus.
Right.
He's not fit because since he's responsible for
the golden calf.
So
he felt kind of embarrassed to go and do it.
Yeah, maybe he's unfit to right. He sinned. It's such a great sin, and so therefore Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Come." So basically, the idea was there's different explanations of whether the Satan showed him or he looked and what it means that he saw a calf was that since he was such a holy tzaddik, he was perfect. The only blemish he had was the golden calf, and it says, David HaMelech says, "V'chatasi negdi samed." My sin is always against me. What does it mean against me? Neged means something that is always there, but it's from far. When a person does teshuvah, there still remains a humility that he knows he sinned, and it's not something, God forbid, that haunts him close, but he guards it. It's like this thing. So Aaron HaKohen knew, I have this sin that I committed. And so it was that thought that made him think, maybe I can't come to the Mizbeach. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, you got to come.
He reassured him.
Yeah. But what's incredible is that there's a medrash that says like this, Medrash Rabbah. Not only, because I think either Rashi says, somebody says, Ki lekach nivcharta, that the reason why you should bring the carbon is this is what you've been chosen for. This is why you've been chosen. This is an incredible thing, and it made me almost cry. Like when I it's just it shows the Mesiras Nefesh, the leadership not only of Moshe. We know that it happened by Har Sinai, but also of Aaron. Mm-hmm. Why did Aaron HaKohen? Why did he have any part in building the Mizbeach and in the creation of the golden calf? Not the Mizbeach and the Mikdash, the altar for the Avodah Zarah, right? Why did he have any part in that? What was his thought process? He was a tzaddik.
Why did he have a?
Why did he have a part?
He was trying to prolong time.
He was trying to prolong time, but also he knew. First of all, they killed Chor.
Right.
They killed Chor. They stoned him.
His cousin.
His
cousin.
Nephew? I think it was his nephew. I think Chor was his nephew. I think it was Miriam's son.
Right. Nephew. Right.
So they killed Chor, and Aaron HaKohen says, if they kill me, there's going to be even more of a sin.
Right, because if they kill a Kohen, then there will be no retribution for.
Also, I mean, listen, these were there were very few outstanding tzaddikim among them. There was Moshe, Aaron, Hur, and Pinchas. So Aaron said, if they kill me, who knows, if they're going to be forgiven.
Right, but he was a priest. So if
he wasn't a high priest yet. But the point, I don't know if it was because of the high priest, but okay.
The Zereshim Shimon says that Hashem would have never forgiven them for killing a priest.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
So because he was meant to be.
Right. That's why he knew that if they kill me, then there will never be forgiveness for them. So therefore, he tried to prolong time, knowing that they would be in even worse trouble if they would have killed him.
Wow. Right. So that's what happened. Right. So what does Aaron say? And he's willing to risk it because he knows that it's possible that this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. But he says, better that it should be my fault, that it should be an individual, that I should take the blame, that I should be the disgraced one, and that the Jewish people be disgraced. Mm-hmm. He sacrificed himself. He said, let it be me who's responsible for this sin. And the Medrash says there's a mashal, there's a parable, you can compare this to a king who his son got the power got to his head, and he says, let me depose my father. And he takes a sword to kill his own father. The mentor of this boy sees what he's going to do, and he says, don't touch the sword, give it to me, I'll do it. Because he doesn't want the son to be guilty for his father's murder. And when he takes the sword, the king sees him, and the king says, I know that you did this to protect my son. What does that cause for the king? He knows that this mentor was willing to risk everything, willing to do the worst sin just to protect the king's son. That doesn't make him hated by the king. He makes him the most beloved by the king.
Right. He shows us loyalty,
extreme loyalty, self-sacrificing loyalty. So what he's saying is that it's because of this that out of all the Leviim, because the Kohanim weren't chosen yet, right? Because of this, that out of all the Leviim, that you were chosen as Kohen Gadol. And it's brought down, I think he mentions a Rabbi Unger, that he says, from here you see that the whole reason why Aaron merited to be the Kohen Gadol is because he had this trait, that he was ready, that he took the sin upon him. So at the end of the day, and this is why, this was a sign also that Hashem forgave him for the sin. But here we see even further that this is the whole reason why he became Kohen Gadol.
Because he was willing to sacrifice himself for the people.
Right, and if you think about it, what's the Kohen Gadol's position? It's to atone for all the Jewish people. Mm-hmm. I didn't see this inside, but it just makes sense.
Yeah.
His job is to atone for the Jewish people on Yom Kippur. So who else other than the man who said, let me take the sin upon myself?
So he acted the part before he got the part.
Exactly, and that's you see Moshe Rabbeinu also. He became the leader. Why? Because he was a kind shepherd.
Act like a leader, right?
Exactly. I love that so much. I love that idea. It's because we see the same thing with Moshe Rabbeinu. He's willing to take. He broke the luchos in order for the Hashem says, "Look, you don't have a contract with the Jewish people." Incredible leadership and love for Jewish people to the point of giving themselves up.
Great lawyer too.
A great lawyer. That's true. Yeah. That's funny.
He basically said you wrote the rule, but you haven't implemented yet. So before you implement it, why don't we destroy what you wrote it on? So the rule doesn't exist. So therefore, you can't implement the rule, and you can't punish them for the rule that you didn't implement yet.
Yeah. So, what happens next? What happens next is what we said in the Parsha, that Aaron's 2 children died because of wine. Now we see a bunch of times that in the Torah wine caused some not great stuff.
Well, that was before the Chachamim said that it has to be marushal or it had to be kosher.
Oh, you reminded me of something. Oh, it's funny. I didn't even write this down, but I remember reading it. How did they get wine? It says, how did they get wine? So it says they got wine. Some opinions say that it was because they weren't able to taste wine in the mun, but they were able to taste any type of taste of liquid from the Be'er of Miriam, from the well of Miriam.
Correct, yeah.
So if they decided to taste wine, it would also get them drunk. That's one opinion. But another opinion is...
It got them intoxicated, really?
That's what it says.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's another opinion that says that there were merchants would come and set up shop for the Jewish people to buy wine. Like non-Jewish vendors would come to the Jewish camp.
Mainly from Midian, because they had the strongest wine.
Right, so the thing
They were known to have the strongest wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Midian people from Midian were known to have the best and strongest wine.
Okay.
Which is why Midian people came out to the whole Zimri and Cosby.
Right, but before that, so before that, it's saying I don't know who it was, but they came and they set up shop, and it says the reason why they were allowed to buy it is because it hadn't been established yet. Because only after the story of Pinchas did they say that said you can't buy wine from a non-Jew.
Right, that makes sense.
How crazy is that? But anyway, but we see that, Adam, Noach, and then over here, wine caused, really not good stuff. But that doesn't mean that wine itself should be outlawed. It means it should be used properly, right? As opposed to, in Islam, it's very black and white. It's like, no wine, that's it. No alcohol, that's it,
Because they can't control it.
It's a good, interesting theory, but the reason.
Bro, they lost their mind without wine. Why would you give somebody like that wine?
Oh man! I wonder who's going to see this. The first person to be like, "Look, Jewish supremacy."
Right.
Okay. Anyway, I'm on Twitter too much. My head.
Yes, dude. What are you doing on Twitter?
I go there to post positive stuff, and then like today, what did I write today?
He got off Reddit, got on Twitter.
Today I posted Torah as an antidote to, and I wrote depression, anger, and fear. And it's true.
And idiocracy. You forgot idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Yeah.
It's like aristocracy.
Yeah. Idiocracy.
Bureaucracy. Idiocracy. Anyway, but the point is, and this is the title of the...
At the time we were receiving man, I don't think there was any wine around, and I don't think anybody needed any wine.
That's the whole question. How did they get a hold of wine?
But you're talking about at the time of when Cosby and
no, we just talked about the Aaron's sons dying, and one of the opinions of why did they die. Because they went
intoxicated.
Into the Mishkan.
Right, that was one of them, right.
So the question is, how did they get wine?
But also, I also heard that one of the reasons why they were killed in the first place is because as Aaron and Moshe Rabbeinu were walking away, they said, we're going to eventually take their place. And for being arrogant or talking about a tzaddik this way, that you're going to take his place, is not modest.
Oh, I see. It's funny because I thought it was because they had given a halachic verdict in front of them.
Or something within the right.
Right.
And because of that, as they walked away, they said, well, eventually we're going to take their place, so we have to be well versed in this.
Oh, that was
something within those lines. But that was one of the reasons why their lives were cut short. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons.
It's one of the reasons given. So anyway, the reason we're talking about this, wine happened in Midian. It happened later.
Okay. Yeah.
But the question is how to get wine. So that was the answers. But getting to and this is really the whole. The name, the title of this video is why we say l'chaim.
Okay.
So the reason why is like this. Why do you say l'chaim? And there's even in the times of the Gemara, where you see Rabbi Akiva said l'chaim. He didn't say the words l'chaim. He said wine and life for the rabbis and for.
Oh, I know the answer to that. Okay, keep going. It has something to do with skila. Stoning.
What has to do with skila?
Why we say l'chaim? Oh, you didn't know?
So share.
Oh, okay. I'll share.
But basically, and this is beautiful. Why do we say l'chaim? Because one of the opinions of the Eitz Hadas that Adam Rishon ate from is that he made kiddush, right? But on it was grapes, and he drank from the Eitz Hadas. So wine caused death. Before that, there was no death.
Okay.
So wine was the cause of death. Therefore, we say this wine should not be for death; it should be l'chaim, for life.
Okay.
And the Minchas Elazar says that you say l'chaim v'levracha, and you don't say l'chaim tovim. You shouldn't say l'chaim tovim. You should say l'chaim v'levracha. And we're going to see why soon. The Hayom Yom says, this is the Rebbe writing in the name of the Friedrich Rebbe. Or not just in the name of the Friedrich Rebbe, but the Rebbe compiled it. But this was a lot of it is from the Friedrich Rebbe, and this is, you know what? I don't want to say something that I'm not correct about. So, TBD, to be determined. But it was brought down in the Sefer. Actually, I was very happy to see that he brought down the Lubavitch source. That in Hayom Yom it says that we say l'chaim v'levracha because. Adam, like you said, Adam is because we don't want it to be for death, we want it to be for life. And v'levracha because when Noah had wine, it brought about a curse. So it should be for life and for a blessing.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
That makes sense, yeah.
It shouldn't be for death like Adam, and it shouldn't be for a curse like it was in the times of Noah. And the Chassam Sofer actually says, he said you don't say l'chaim tovim. Why? Because if you look at the numerical value, the gematria, l'chaim tovim is the same numerical value as klala, which means curse. So you don't say l'chaim tovim, even though it means to good life, but since it has the numerical value of klala, you don't say it. Rather, you say l'chaim v'levracha. And there's another thing. I'm not sure who said it. I think it was said it during a Farbrengen at some point. V'levracha, you can split up that word into two words. V'leiv raka. Right? Vav lamed veiz, which is the first three letters of V'levracha, and the last three letters of V'levracha is Reish Chaf Hey, which is raka, which means in a soft heart. We're wishing each other that we should remain sensitive, that we should remain open, and we shouldn't have a hardened heart where we can't serve Hashem properly and we can't show love to our fellow Jews. So that's another reason why we say l'chaim v'levracha. I'm sure there's a lot more to be said about this, but this is just a little window into why we say l'chaim v'levracha. And you said something about skila, and I'm guessing right now that because they would give the person wine when they would kill him.
Yeah.
So very good.
So the Beit Din would say, you who is condemned to death, and they would give him really strong wine right before they do the skila. He would pick up the wine. Everybody else would say l'chaim because they're all living, and he's the only one that would say to death.
No,
because he's the one he's drinking it to die.
He would say lamavet?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He's the only one that says that. That is the only. Why? Because it's supposed to get him intoxicated enough so he wouldn't feel pain, so he would be one-shot killed.
No, that I know. What I'm saying, I would imagine that everyone says l'chaim and he doesn't say anything, but that he should say to death.
Because he's about to die.
I know.
He's condemned to death.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. Incredible. Okay. Dude, we covered a lot.
Yeah. And you know how skila worked, right?
They would throw him down from a high place.
Right.
And then if he didn't
And
die,
then there was a humongous rock that they would drop from that high place on his head, and for whatever reason it didn't crush him, then everybody else would throw rocks at him until he dies.
I didn't think we would talk about stoning on this show.
But that's such a crazy way to die.
Yeah, so the thing is, he probably would have died from the first fall.
Right.
And he was completely intoxicated. He was also, men, they would unclothe them. So there shouldn't be anything, the impact should be stronger, no cushioning. So that way it'll be a faster death. It wouldn't be painful. But women, I think she had like a thin layer, out of respect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just...
We spoke about turbans, right?
Yeah, you mentioned it before. Yeah,
The reason why people in the region wore turbans
was because for their shrouds. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because
Okay,
they
now
were so poor.
right. Yeah. Okay, what is next?
A nice little example, a funny example of that would be when Shlomo Melech, when he was building the Beit HaMikdash, he needed the Cedars of Lebanon.
Cedars of Lebanon. Oh, shout out, by the way. That's the name of a band. Check it out, guys. Anyway. Sorry.
Right, and I believe it was the Pharaoh of Egypt or somebody that he told him, "I need your wood."
Yeah, I forgot where he brought it from.
And
Yeah,
then he said, "No problem. As a matter of fact, I don't even need your workers. I'm going to send 1,000 of my own workers because I want to be part of you building the Beit HaMikdash." He says, "I'm going to send you 1,000 of my workers to work for you, to chop them down and bring the wood." And what does he do? He's such a rasha. Through stars, he found out what 1,000 people would die that year. And so he purposely sent these people to do the work for Shlomo HaMelech, just to say, look, you see what they're doing is so not holy that 1,000 people died the same year to work for. And when Shlomo HaMelech saw those people, he saw through Ruach HaKodesh that they were supposed to die that year. So he sends them all back with a message. Were you really that poor that you didn't have enough money for their robes? And he sent all 1,000 of them with white robes back, because he knew they were going to die that year. He said, "Are you really that cheap that you were trying to save on 1,000 robes for that year? Here, take your workers, take these robes. I'll send my own workers to get the wood that I need for the Beit HaMikdash."
That's crazy.
How crazy is that? That's in the Midrash,
Dude,
by
you
the
can't
way.
pull a fast one on Shlomo HaMelech.
Exactly. He saw through Ruach HaKodesh that all 1,000 of them had to die that year. And so he sends them a message, and all 1,000 of them with the white robes to be buried in. And he says, "You cheap bastard, you take your workers back and you take these robes. This is for you. Just give me the wood I need. I'll do the work. I'll send my own workers."
Wow.
He didn't say cheap bastard.
That's why I was laughing. I can imagine Shlomo. Yeah, not exactly.
But how crazy is that?
That's insane. That's an insane story. Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing that, bro. Adding some spice.
Yeah, that was
show.
crazy.
Okay, now we're gonna go talk about the Ben Ish Chai. Oh, the Ben Ish Chai has something really, really nice.
Okay.
Like this. Oh, there's still so much here. Crazy story. Yo, I don't know if we're gonna get to it, but it's crazy stories. Okay.
Bro, if we start remembering all these crazy stories, I don't think we're gonna leave here. We're gonna stay here all night.
Let's limit it to like an hour.
Right.
Well, we have another like 30 minutes.
Okay, go.
Like 31 minutes. Okay, if we keep to that. Shmini. But okay, so what does it say? Vayamar Moshe, and Moshe said, "This is what Hashem. This is what Hashem said to do." And then it says eventually, and it says, "V'yeh aleichem kavod Hashem," and the honor of Hashem will be revealed to you. So what do you see from here? It says that do what Hashem says, and then God will show Himself to you. And the Ben Ish Chai says this is a message to people that every mitzvah should be done with the intent that you're doing the commandment of God. And then it will bring down the holiness it's supposed to bring down into this world. Because we know that when we do a mitzvah, it brings down holiness and it transforms. So that means when Hashem says, you should be just you should be honest in business. That's something that makes sense without the Torah, right?
Right.
Even without the Torah, it says, be honest, be straight. You're cheating him. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, even that you should do, not because just because your mind says to, but it's because Hashem said. Because otherwise, if you don't do it and you just say, "Oh, I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do," you're not bringing down the same holiness that you could with the intention that I'm doing this because God commanded me to.
Do we have to announce it?
No, you don't have to announce it. It's just actually we're gonna see soon that you're not supposed to announce all your good deeds. You have to tell yourself, meaning, why do you do what you do? Everything I do in my life is for God.
No, that's not what I meant.
What?
Do you actually have to outright say it physically?
I don't think so.
No, the intention is supposed to be just that.
Yeah, it's just your intention, yeah.
Because I was reading not too long ago about, it was talking about a rasha and a normal and a good person. And it was talking about when we're praying, a rasha, when he prays, he thinks that he's praying and his mitzvahs are going up, but a lot of times what happens is because he's surrounded by all these klipot and all these evil things that are around us, what happens is the kedusha that he has in his prayer, instead of going up, as it's going up, there are a lot of things that are impure, they feed on it. They could just take it and feed on it, and it doesn't go where it's supposed to go. So it is said that you're supposed to announce the mitzvah I'm doing right now. I want it to go to the right place, and if it doesn't go into the right place, I want it to disappear completely, so any other beings don't benefit from it. You have to announce it. This is why whenever we have somebody go up to pray for a congregation, he's supposed to say that paragraph.
For the congregation, yeah.
Right. He's supposed to say that paragraph that says, right. The whole thing, he's supposed to say it, because so it doesn't go in the wrong place, so it doesn't feed the wrong things. So that's why I ask, these intentions, do we actually have to announce them or no?
So I think this is about why you do it. I don't think it's about saying it, but I mean, listen, some people have the minhag to say l'shem yichud before every mitzvah they do. We say it once a day, and that encompasses everything you do. So,
okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
The different. The lady's back. So, let's see. That's number one. Now we're going to talk about what we just said, that you're actually supposed to be modest about your mitzvot. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, again, everyone has what to work on, and everyone can be a little bit more modest, and sometimes it's not good to hide things if you could inspire other people, but in general, you're not supposed to show off your mitzvot. Right? And
why not?
What?
Explain why not. You're proud of doing what you're doing. Why can't you be proud of what you're doing? And if you're proud, why can't you be? You understand what I'm saying? Like I'll give you an example why I say that. Mm-hmm. Shabbos morning, we go to pray. We every mizmor after Chodu, all the mizmorim that we're reading, mm-hmm. I sing it, and I sing it loud. And when I start singing it loud, the whole congregation starts singing it loud. If I don't sing it loud, everybody's singing it, but it's like, if on a scale from 1 to 10, it's like a 4. If I sing loud because everybody sees me singing loud and I'm so proud, everybody's joining in. So you get where I'm coming from? Yeah. Does that look like I'm arrogant? Does that look I'm showing off? Or is that a way to get everybody inspired?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think actually in that case you should do what you're doing. But that's not showing off. What is going on here?
What is that? Is somebody commenting?
It's WhatsApp, and I turned it off. Oh my gosh. Okay, so in that case I would say that it's different. Boasting means that you're like showing off. You're making sure everyone sees what you do. You understand? Like imagine you go to you can either give a donation, go to a shul, give the rabbi the check, quiet, it's finished, or you can make a whole thing. Oh, we're giving tzedakah, the Aliyah Torah, and we're giving $100,000, right? There's a big difference, and part of the reason why is because then it's not done 100% for the sake of God. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you should never ever publicize the good things that you do. Every case is different, but overall, you should be modest, tzanua, tzniut. Modesty doesn't just mean how you dress; it also means the way you act.
Right.
right? It's like, people walking around with gold chains and designer. That's flaunting. That's not modest. And because the most precious thing for the Jew is his connection with God, you don't want to just flaunt that out. You want it to be precious. It's between you and God. Now, where do we see this from? It's very interesting that when it starts talking about the 4 animals that have one of the 2 signs that make animals kosher, which means they're not kosher, right? When we talk about that,
They flaunt the side that makes them
so there's only one animal that flaunts it, and that's the chazir, which is why the chazir, the pig, is so detestable by Jews. It's because it's trying to pass itself off as something it's not. It's trying to pass off as kosher. Look, I have split hooves, right? Meanwhile, you don't have the other way. So that's the worst, and that's what he's saying here. And you see it's why, because it says the gamal, the camel. It says, why is it non-kosher? And it starts off with, because it chews its cud and it doesn't have split hooves. Shouldn't it start off with saying why it's not kosher?
Camel has split hooves.
Kimale gerahu. No, I don't think it does. I think it chews its cud.
Camel has split hooves.
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
You ever heard of the expression camel toe?
Yeah, but
because
they're split, but they're not split all the way.
Oh, they're not split all the way?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Either way, the Torah mentions the sign that makes it kosher, that makes animals kosher, before it mentions the sign that makes it non-kosher.
Okay.
The question is why? That will make kosher. So the answer is no, because the fact that it has a kosher sign is the biggest factor that makes it not kosher. Because again,
it flaunts it.
It's like people who they act really, really holy on the outside, making people think they're holy when they're the worst of the worst. And that's actually not kosher. When people are fake, when they're two-faced and they have double standards.
Yeah.
Here's we have 2 stories. And these are some crazy, crazy stories. So crazy. There was a chassid, a certain chassid. A chassid doesn't mean, this is from the Ma'am Loyas. This is before, chassidim. And there was a certain, chassid means a pious man. A very, very, someone who's very, very meticulous and, a really, a holy guy, a really devout and special Jew. Wanted to move to Eretz Yisrael. But he had a lot of money with him. He passed by one of the towns he was in. He saw a guy sitting and learning all day, praying all day, wearing his tefillin, acting really, really holy, toss over his head, everything. And he says, you know what, I should give this guy all of my money because the journey to Israel is long, and bad people might take my money from me. So I could give it to him. I'll go to Israel, establish it, not schlep everything, get a house, buy a house, whatever, establish myself. Then I could come back to get my stuff, to get my, my riches, because, he had belongings, right? So, and that's what he does. He goes to him, he says, can you hold it for me? Everything good. He goes, he establishes himself, he tells his wife, I'm going to go back. And this guy's name, not the chassid, we're going to call, the chassid is going to be the chassid. And again, this is not a Hasidic man, this just means a really pious Jew. And he said, and he comes to this guy that he gave the money to, his name, he went by Reb Alexander. He says, hi, how are you? Shalom Aleichem, I've come to get my money. He says, what are you talking about? I don't know you, I've never seen you before in my life, what money are you talking about? And this chassid can't believe his ears. He can't believe, what? He says, come on, don't do this to me, please. And the guy keeps on denying. And he starts, making a commotion. I gave this person money, he didn't give it to me. And this guy, Rabbi Alexander, starts yelling at him and saying, you're spreading libel about me, you're a liar. And this guy, this chassid, he's so upset. He goes to Shul and he davens to Hashem and he says, Hashem, for your sake, you see that this person he acts all holy and pious, and he's a thief. For your name, please show that there's justice in this world, please expose him, right? That's what he says. He tells Hashem that he should, help him, and also, that such a person who's acting so holy, it's not correct. People should see him for who he is.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
why didn't this pious man think, you know what? Maybe this is Hashem's way. Maybe I've done something wrong. Maybe I need to repent. Maybe Hashem send me this crook on my way that I need to do something. I need to change something about myself. Maybe I've done something wrong. I mean, isn't that what Torah teaches us? Always look for flaws in us that we need to change and not other people.
Yes and yes. What I mean by yes and yes is that you should think that always, and you always have agency. There's no such thing as, if you see that there's no way you could do it, but you tried everything you can't, okay, you leave it to God, but you still have agency.
I feel like there's a but coming on.
No, there's always agency. That's it. You always have agency. So, yes, you should always do a self-evaluation. And when things happen to you, it's an opportunity to say, how have I been acting? But also, this guy, he shouldn't give up like that.
Okay.
And also, there's the fact that this person. By the way, it's so funny that you're mentioning this because I'm recording something with a friend of mine. We're calling it Soul Pad. Look out for that, guys. And he had something that just happened to him. He says, someone told me that I should accept it from God, but this guy's doing it to so many people. It's actually very interesting you mentioned this.
So it's your duty to expose him when you know he's going to do it to other people. And it's not your duty to expose him if it just happens to you?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a good question.
Okay.
And all options are open. A person should always, when something happens to them, should think, what can I improve?
Right.
Not even what did I do wrong, what can I improve?
Like in David HaMelech's case,
Yeah.
when Shimi, or what was his name?
Shimi ben Gera.
Right. When he cursed him, he because he saw through Ruach HaKodesh that his son is going to be, his great-grandson is going to be, his descendant is going to be Mordechai, and the whole Purim story and the whole 9 yards. So he saw through Ruach HaKodesh that that's his descendant.
What was his name? Was that Shimi or Shaul? Shimi's descendant?
Yeah. Because of his wife, not because of his merits. Because of his wife's merits. Okay, but that's not the point. And by the way, Shimi is a teacher of Shlomo Melech.
Okay, wait, can we finish the story and then
Shlomo then executes him? But that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is, in David HaMelech's case, he had Ruach HaKodesh. He didn't kill him, and therefore he tells Yoav, General Yoav, his nephew, he tells him, you dare not touch him.
Hashem Amar leKalel.
It's Hashem's word out of his mouth.
God told him to curse. That's what he said. And it's actually brought down in Tanya the idea that everything that happens to you is from Shemayim. Correct.
Right. So how come with this chassid it's not the same story?
Because it doesn't mean you don't have agency. It doesn't mean you can't stand up for yourself. If you tried everything. And again, later on, Shimi ben Gera was put to death because he was still because he still had the choice. God didn't force him to do it. God gave him the inspiration to do something wrong. God put it in his mind, but a person always has a choice. He could have.
He was put to death with a sword because of what he did. But David HaMelech told Shlomo Melech to do so to save him, to rectify his sin in this world. So he also tells him to execute Yoav, his general. Right. But once again, he says, this is not punishment. This is for their own sake. This is to rectify their sins in this world, so they leave this world pure and go straight to Gan Eden. We're not talking about that. 100%. Ruach HaKodesh. We're not talking about that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just comparing the situation.
Yeah. So again, this is David HaMelech in a certain situation, and he was acknowledging that no matter what, this comes from God. Listen, this guy doing what he did was also, there's good inclination and bad inclination. Everything comes from Hashem. Right? The Yetzer Hara is working, quote unquote, for Hashem, giving you a test, and you have to come by it. Shimi shouldn't have cursed. But that came from heaven. So what does it mean? How would if Hashem wanted David HaMelech to be cursed, so then how does that make sense? That's what he says. God has many emissaries. You can choose to do the right thing, someone else can do it. You're not forced to do something just because God wants it to happen in this world. It can happen a different way. You don't have to be the arbiter of evil. But anyway, back to the story.
Okay.
So
sorry.
No, it's good. This is what we love. This is the best part of the show when we go off script. But so anyway, so he prays, and when he finishes praying, Ilya Navi reveals himself to him, and he says, "Go to this person's wife and tell them I have 2 signs that shows that this money belongs to me, and there's no way that 2 signs. What's the signs? You ate chametz on Pesach with your husband, and on Yom Kippur you ate before you went to shul with your husband."
Okay. How could he have? Okay.
1 second. So he goes. This chassid goes, waits for this Rabbi Alexander to leave his house, and he goes to the house and speaks to the wife and says this simanim, these signs. And right away she hears this, she gives him the money, and he goes. And then Rabbi Alexander came back, and she told him what happened. He said, "Okay, they found us out, we have to leave." And they left, and they actually gave up their faith. They were fakers from the beginning. They were fakers. This guy made like he was a holy. He was a complete faker to begin with. Yeah. Crazy story, huh? You want to hear an even crazier story? Okay. This story is actually an insane story. So what happens? There's this guy. He's a very rich man, and he's about to pass away. He has a son. And he tells his son, "I'm going to pass away. You're going to inherit everything I have. I want you to promise me." Just like, he's making him promise on his deathbed. "I want you to promise me you're going to be careful of the tzvuim." Tzvuim means, I'm guessing from what I translates to colored ones. In other words, people who show themselves differently than what they really are. What's that? These are people who show themselves to be extra pious.
Okay.
And really, they're the worst of the worst. Be aware of these people. He almost acts as if they're like a group of people who work together, but it just whatever. He calls them a cult, like a cult. But he's just saying people who act like this, they belong to this category of people. And
right, they're acting like they're saving the world and vaccinating the world, but in reality,
all the virtue signaling, right? The virtue signaling that goes on today. These people, and meanwhile they're destroying humanity.
Demons of the world.
Yeah, absolute garbage, right? Exactly. Very, very.
Can't remember their names, but they love to destroy the world.
Very, very relatable. So, he takes it to heart, and his father passes away. He's very rich, and he marries an orphan girl, who's really very pretty, and he sees she's very, very modest. Extra careful about modesty, and at a certain point he tells his wife, "Let's go." I don't know if it wasn't clear to me if they said let's go on a walk, or I imagine it wasn't the first time they went on a walk, or maybe they said let's go out to see what's going on in the world, and she says no, I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to leave the door of the house. Why? Because I don't want people to look at me and they're going to have sinful thoughts. I don't want to cause other people to think sinfully. And also I don't want to, perhaps see other men and think about them afterwards. Okay, right away clicks in his mind. My father warned me about this type of behavior. People who show themselves to be extra pious. He says, okay, I have to test it. He tells his wife, I need to go. This is Me'am Loyes, by the way, for whoever's curious about where the story comes from. He tells his wife, I have to go on a business trip. Can you prepare some stuff for my journey, whatever. He gives her keys to the house. He locks the doors. I guess he locks up his house. And he doesn't tell her he has a second copy of the keys. Mm-hmm. He goes, he travels outside of the city with, someone he has a driver. And after a little bit of distance out of the city, he tells the driver to turn back. He goes back, goes to an inn, for travelers, stays there until it gets dark. And he goes to his house and he opens the door and he goes from room to room. Finally, he finds his wife in one of the rooms with another man, a non-Jewish man. You imagine. And she's so, shocked, whatever. She tells the non-Jew, go, he had a knife or a sword, go.
Kill my husband.
Kill him. He's so scared, the guy runs out and he has nowhere to stay. So he's in the street until the morning. Now, meanwhile, a whole separate commotion is happening in the king's palace, in that area. What happened? somebody stole a bunch of his treasure, gems and gold, and they're looking for the thief. So they're looking for the thief, and they see a guy sleeping on the street. They're like, this guy probably stole in the middle of the night, didn't find a place. This is him. So they start beating him, and they say, where's the treasure? The guy says, I don't know what you're talking about. So they torture him, and they don't get any answers. They say, okay, we're going to hang him.
And then comes a detective.
What's that?
Detective.
So and while they're carrying him out to be hung, there's a priest. What do the priests do before someone's about to die? For a Jew's about to die, especially.
They tell us your sins.
They try to get him to convert, try to tell him to accept whatever. And as they're walking, they see that they're passing. There's an area that's like a lot of dirt and trash, and where there's trash, there's worms.
And okay.
There's worms. So he said, this priest says, okay, let's walk away from the worms, because otherwise you can step on the worms. And it says that God has mercy on all of his creations. Once again, this guy's like,
you don't want to have mercy on me, you want to have mercy on the worms?
Well, yeah, anyways, so he says, there's the same behavior again. What my father told me. Let me see what I have to check this out. So he says, okay, stop. I'm ready to confess. Take me back to the king. So they go back to the king, and he says, I conspired with the priest. Check his house. It's there over there. They check, and it's there. So the king asks him,
how did you know?
No, he says, how did you get to know this priest? Like, you're a Jew, and this priest is like the higher, echelons of society, and like, what in the world? So he says, I didn't steal anything. And he tells him the whole story of his father, told him that when people act extra pious, and what happened with his wife. And the king goes and tries to investigate to see what happened with his wife, and when he finds out it's true, he orders her to be executed, and they hung the priest.
I heard this story before.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah.
It's the first time I read it. It's a wild story. It wasn't
worms. It was.
It was ants.
Ants.
I read it as worms.
Yeah, the whole crew was walking, and they saw like a little ant house.
Ant hill. Okay.
Ant hill. And he said, oh, we can't crush this ant hill, let's go around him. And then he says, wait a minute, this guy has no mercy on people, he's so cruel to everyone. But for ants, he wants to go around them? He's like, it's going to take hours to go, because for the whole caravan to change course. He's like, what? This guy is doing that? No, something's up with this guy.
Yeah, I found this to be a fascinating story. Anyways, guys, this was great.
I mean, this is what's happening in the world right now. 80% of those people that live there approved of what happened in October.
Yeah, but meanwhile, animal cruelty.
Right, exactly.
Green environment.
There's a saying: if you are
kind to the cruel,
then it's only a matter of time that you're cruel to the kind.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening right now.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. Look at that, we agree on something. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man, guys, we kept it under an hour 15. Look at that. Under 20. It's under an hour 20. It's 1:50. Okay, guys, this was incredible.
That it was. Did we get 10 likes or no?
I really don't know.
Wow, damn, you suck. That sucks.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining. If you made it to the end, you are an absolute legend.
That's right. Don't forget to get your haircuts right before Pesach.
At the theBarber. I'm going to have to get one of mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get mine one of these days. And smash the like button. Subscribe.
Hopefully you find this entertaining and
informative. And we have to make l'chaim. 1 second. L'chaim. Oh! It's been sitting for too long.
Yeah, get one for me too. The other way.
Oh, there's actually something else that was mentioned. We didn't get to it, but there's an idea that's saying that in general, I think there's a story of someone who was punished because he said l'chaim to the person before he made a bracha to Hashem. He said first you have to bless Hashem, then you can bless the person.
Yeah.
L'chaim.
With water, really?
Yeah.
Really?
You can make l'chaim with anything.
That has to be outlawed, bro.
Guys, should we do the somersault anyway? What do you say?
I don't know. Are you feeling like doing a somersault?
I just don't want to move the camera, but you know what? What the heck?
The things people do for cameras. For using.
Should hold this for a second. Let's see. No, it's the whole theme is l'chaim. You know, like farbrengens. But here's the condition.
So you should have brought a bottle of wine or something.
Here's the condition, though. We have to say.
Yeah.
You have to say machakula. That's the Chassidish way to say do a somersault.
Machakula?
Machakula.
I thought you just say shkoyach.
You say shkoyach afterwards.
After it's done well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Oh man.
By the way, that's my nephew's favorite phrase.
Shkoyach.
Shkoyach.
Oh man. I always get scared before I do these things. I don't know why. Hey!
As long as he didn't get hurt, that's all that matters.
Okay.
I don't want to get killed by his biggest fan.
The biggest thing. You never felt anything, huh? Okay,
Bro, you think we're gonna have a session without me mentioning her?
Okay.
That's not possible.
Let's go, guys.
She's always part of our videos.
That's correct. Okay. Guys.
Plus, she gets all the mitzvahs, bro.
That's correct. Okay. Thank you for joining. Yeah.
Smash that like button. Don't forget to recommend us to your friends.
Yes, please consider supporting the channel through Patreon. There's going to be a link in the description. Helps us. We could give you better content.
Yes. And hopefully, before the summer is over, we're both going to get rid of our gut. We're getting there. I don't know why I put that in there, but we will see you next week.
All right, good job. See you Monday night.
Yeah.